Welcome, everybody, to It Tastes Different Gaming News. What's in the news today? Nudes in the news, or the lack thereof. All right, before we jump into it, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit those notifications, all the things that really make us happy. And Nick will get a new robe if we hit 1,000. All right, so let's jump into it. So we got a little bit of a mishmash of news stories here, and they all kind of link together. So we have two articles here. We'll start with the first one, and then we'll show you why they combine. Gooner 9/11 has been averted. Zenith Zone Zero's I can't pronounce that word, obfuscation technology is rolled back in the face of horny outrage. Nick won. So the developers decided to put a patch in that when you tried to look at a character's rear end and you zoom in, it makes that booty go away. Kind of like a wedding ring does. It just kind of goes away. And people were not having it. And they threw up their skibbity fist in the air and they got what they wanted. So they reversed course and put that ass back in. Congratulations, gamers. Congratulations. We can't fight loot boxes. We can't fight DLC. But by God, when they take away our booties, we're going to fight to the death. So the gamer... Exactly. Principles. So the gaming community has fought back and they won. They got their booties back and, way to go for them. But we also have more sexuality issues in the news. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth lead asks thirsty players to not make inappropriate mods of Final Fantasy XVI's Clive of inappropriate mods after Final Fantasy XVI Clive got swiftly unroped. Me personally, I would have went to a different direction with these mods, but hey, you know what? Clive got it going on for some people. So, Naoki Hamaguchi, don't want to see no coochie, has a polite request ahead of the PC port's release. If there's one thing that stays consistent in the Final Fantasy community, it's that fans are always down bad for the series cast of characters. Whether that's because of Tifa's relentless charm. Yeah, she got some really nice charms. And hear me out, Kimahari's gruff stoicism. Oh, man, there's some political talk in this crap. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth director knows his player base all too well and is asking you all to please avoid making anything too inappropriate with its upcoming PC port. Now, as a red-blooded male nerd gamer, don't listen to him. I want to see Tifa run around butt naked with a Buster sword, riding a ferret from hell. I mean, just do what you want. I don't care. But this is kind of interesting that the developers are trying to push away from those things, but the gaming community is geared a little more towards those things. So where does a developer draw a line on that? We've had games about, that have sexual content, or more like contact, and some nudities and things like that. But now it seems like it's a little more on the mainstream side. Developers are, fighting against it in some areas, and some are, making it more prominent, like Stellar Blade. I mean, what was the one where they were adding jiggle physics to the other day, Nick?
First Descendant.
Yeah. At first,
might be the last one. I don't know.
It could have been. And, I just kind of find it funny and odd that this is where we're going. So Final Fantasy director doesn't want all that sexuality. And a recent update to the Zenith Zone Zero made it impossible to get a good look at that character's butts. Those developers did that. So what do you guys think? is there a reason to filter out just a butt image? It's not like you were seeing anything on Xenozone Zero that you couldn't literally see going out your front door. Is there anything that the modding community you're worried about doing to Final Fantasy? Nick, you're the biggest pervert among all of us. I mean, me and Pat have discussed this for years now. We got to get you straightened out here. What do you think? Do you think that the developers for Xenozone should have even done that to begin with? Do you think they should have put it back? Do you think they should have fought the gaming community? And how do you feel about mods with Tifa and Red Axe?
Well, Red Axe for Xenozone Zero, it's an odd choice. I don't know if it has to do with because it's a Chinese developer, and in China they are a little bit more strict on that type of stuff, and I don't know if it has to do with maybe some of that and like something that they wanted over there, and so they kind of just conformed it to the entire thing. I don't really know, because that game, I mean, not every female, but I mean, like a lot of the females in that game are pretty well endowed and not wearing much clothing, so there's not straying a lot from the imagination in other places. So to be able to take the ability to not be able to see the back end of a character all of a sudden, it seems just odd, like an odd choice to make, right? Like, it would be one thing if the characters were like, moderately dressed and things like that, but when you've over sexualized or sexualized your characters in a game, and then to make overly, it's like basically like Stellar Blade, right? Stellar Blade had, the woman had huge assets, let's put it that way, in every shape or form. But let's say they made that character and they put a giant robe on her, and then whenever you tried to look in any sort of direction, the camera would just fade out. It'd be like, well, then what's the point? What's the point of making that type of character then? I mean,
that's the whole why they added ponytail physics in there, so that you can have a long enough ponytail to hide it. Remember, because you had to shorten the ponytail.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they put the short ponytail option in there. But I mean, like, there's no point in having that type of stuff if you're not going to, you're making it for a reason, right? You're wanting to entice a certain community of gamers or players to play your game by making attractive women or attractive characters, right? It doesn't have to be women in particular, but any type of character in there attractive. That's the reason why anything, be it games or movies or anything like that, makes their characters, most of their characters, not all of them, but most of them attractive, is to attract people's interest in those things, right? Because if you made a game full of ugly characters, not to say that people wouldn't play it, but I mean, you look at like the controversy with Naughty Dog's latest game, Intergalactic Planetary. Beastie Boys.
I thought you were talking about Concord, where they did the comparison of characters.
Yeah, they did that too. But I mean, like, because they showed like, the internet's all going nutso because Neil Druckmann's, all his female characters look like Abby. And so they're like, they wanted to make it look more feminine, and so it's like, the creative aspect is, Neil Druckmann and in his story games, he's not trying to make that type of, right. He's just trying to create a world and an atmosphere and a story and things like that, not trying to oogle people with eye candy, right? So his take on things is a lot different, right? Whereas Xenozone Zero or their other game, Genshin Impact, the anime characters are the way they are because that they're trying to entice a player base to come in and play based on that. So it's really weird to have put something in like that where you wouldn't be able to see the backside of the character when you tried to move the camera in closer, and where it would fade out. That just seems odd, right? And as far as Final Fantasy goes, like, good luck producer man. What's his name?
Hamaguchi.
Hamaguchi. Yeah. Good luck to that. I mean, I guess he's just trying to be nice. Like, please don't. But the internet's already, the modding community they already got all the storyboarding. They got everything mapped out. They're just waiting for the publish button, just to get the assets from the game, and then they can just, put it all in there. They already got it all written out. Like, it'll be day one.
Day one, nude
nude Tifa and nude Aerith and nude Yuffie and
riding on nude chocobos.
Riding on nude chocobos. Which are riding on nude Barrett.
Yeah, which are riding on nude Barrett. It's.
I think they'd rather ride on nude Clive. It sounds like so.
Maybe, but then but again, it's one of those things where you have, again, Final Fantasy VII is an older game, but you have characters that are, the female characters, and for the women, the male characters are attractive, right? Tifa's attractive. Aerith is. Yuffie to some people, she's a little flat chested, but some people might find her very cute.
She won't be after these mods.
After these mods, no.
She's gonna put those boxing gloves to use.
She has a great personality. I'll put it that way. But so it's a very yeah. I mean, good luck to that. There's going to be a lot of mods out there that are going to be that way. I mean, even for games you wouldn't think. Because I love mods and playing around with mods, but like I looked for mods for games, and I'm like, why do they have this? Like the very first thing is a nude mod for like a game that I wouldn't expect there to be one for, but there is. So if it has any type of, doesn't even have to be human. If it has anything that's going to have any sort of genitals or that type of thing, then there is going to be a mod to expose that.
It don't have to be people, man. It could be a race car game. You'll see 20 dongs going in a circle at 200 mile an hour.
Exactly. There's probably a race car. There's probably racing games out there that probably have, turn your racing car into a giant slong that goes down the track.
Everything's a Wienermobile.
Yeah. Dueling wieners. But what do you think, Pat?
Yeah. How do I know I'm getting old? I had to look up what a Gooner was. Because I saw Gooner 9/11 and I'm like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah, I didn't know it either.
So I had to Google it and I'm like, I'm getting old. Because I'm like, okay.
So, yeah, man, you are no skibbity.
No. Here's all grandpa whipping out the new kids terms, we're still over here with our faux shizzle for rizzle stuff, and these kids are talking about skibbity toilet and gooning. So I will mention that according to the developers on the Zenless Zero, the Zenless Zone Zero, that the fading out of the butt was not intentional. They're claiming that was a bug, that the fading out, because that's what happened when you zoomed in too close, the character faded out, right? Kind of like a no clipping thing. When you're trying to get an angle on something, the character goes out of the way so that you can see what's in front of the character, and that's what they're claiming. So they basically just said, okay, we're going to unobfuscate the butts. So, but I watched the video. I have not played the game, so it's not my type of game. What this is, Zenless Zone Zero, because it's one of those free to play ARPG games, and
yeah, it's a gotcha game.
Gotcha game, yeah, exactly, right. So those aren't my type. So I watched the videos and stuff, and I'm like, it didn't look like you were missing anything to begin with, but I didn't look at all the characters. It was just the demo they were using. And I'm assuming somebody used this particular character in the demo because it was very innocuous character. It wasn't one of the overly endowed characters that Nick was talking about. So, but leave it to some horny gamers to complain about, not being able to see the rear end, or because it wasn't not about being able to see the rear end, because you could still see it. It was just, if you zoomed in and got the right angle, they disappeared. So it looks like in the screenshots, they're intentionally trying to get some upskirt shots, right? That's exactly what it looks like in the video. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, whatever. To each their own, right? But it does seem this day and age that a lot of developers are shying away from some of that. It does, until you get something like the First Descendant, and then the what was the other one that you guys were talking about? The
Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade, yeah, where there's jiggle physics and overtly sexualized characters, right? For the most part, but when something like that comes out, I remember the negative press news on that game that they were stirring up just to get people to play. It was like, this developer is bucking the trend and going larger assets rather than trying to bring things more. Yeah. What I think, give the player the choice to create whatever the hell they want. If they want those to be large and oversized, and whatever. They want them to be petite and tiny, whatever. Give the option of choice, and there you go. You as a developer can wash your hands and be as clean about it as you want. We give you the ability, but because
after you're done,
exactly,
wash your hands.
Wash your hands and make that cheese sandwich. So I mean, I guess long gone are the days of the dong slider, right? From Conan. Because I mean, I think we were even talking about it in Dragon Age Veilguard, right? They underdid all the assets. Like, you couldn't make a big brawny character. Like, the sliders were very limiting in that game in aspects of everything, because in Dragon Age you can make enlarge pubic areas, but they weren't like large. You can enlarge butts, thighs, all that stuff, but it was like minor scale adjustments. It wasn't like you could over exaggerate anything that you wanted. I think just give the player the choice. If they decide they want to make overly overt, assets, then so be it. So that's where I feel about that. I feel on that subject. I'm like, whatever, take it or leave it. I don't care. If you want the eye candy, you want the eye candy, or whatever. It is what it is, So that's why I sit in that one, because I honestly don't care. I mean, I noticed it in Dragon Age, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm outraged because I can't give this character oversized genitals or whatever. It's like, whatever, it's there. And the only reason I actually probably pay more attention to it than any was just because the articles that came out about Dragon Age Veilguard preventing you from making that. And I was just like, oh yeah, you can't do that. Look, the slider only goes so far. Okay, well, moving on, playing the game, And then I think on Final Fantasy Rebirth, Hamaguchi telling fans not to do that is like your parents telling you not to do something. That's pretty much just them saying, we know you're going to do this because we're told you not to. Telling you no is like an invitation to do it.
Wink.
Yeah, Hamaguchi knows. And so Hamaguchi is basically saying, don't do that. That's bad. But he's like, I know you're going to do it. Don't touch that. Bad. You touch it anyway, right? Don't touch the big red button. And yeah, I'm with Nick. Every time you look at a new game on PC these days, the first page of mods on Nexus Mods is like, larger assets, nude mod, this and that. And I'm like, that's not my first choice for a PC game when I'm looking for mods. Usually it's like a reshader or, more control over something or
widescreen.
Right? Or combined inventory. Yeah, widescreen is usually where I'm going. Super ultra widescreen at 32:9 or whatever aspect ratio, and that's usually what I'm going to look for. And I got to go through like 2 or 3 pages of nude mods or other mods. And I'm like, I don't care. Because I'm not wasting my resources on my computer to run something like that, I'm like, I don't care. I don't know. I'm not in that fan base. I'm like, I like larger assets. Trust me, just as much as the next guy. But at the same time, I'm not going to go actively install a mod so I can have it. I guess sometimes it's funny. I guess the closest thing I've ever come to that is just a nude mod for like The Sims or something. I'm like, oh, I hate the blurry screen. Let's get a nude Sims mod. That looks funny. What are they doing behind that blurred out thing? Oh, okay. But at the same time, I'm not going out and getting a Dragon Age nude mod or anything like that. I didn't do anything. I think I did like a reshader for that one, and things like that, because the purple was just too overt in that game, just too much purple. I need to tone it down. It made everything too bright and happy for a game I felt should have been more darker and doomer and gloom, So, it's all about choice though, right? If you tell a gamer not to do something, they're going to do it. That's anything. Because I equate to gamers, and then I put myself in there as children. You tell me not to do something, I'm an adult. I'm going to do it. All right. Don't do that. That's bad. Okay. I'm going to do that. Although I do not plan on playing Rebirth on PC because I found that game to be overtly boring. So you can have your overtly nude mods, but that game was overtly boring, and no amount of nude Tifa, Aerith, Bear, anybody, Clive is going to bring me back. So no amount of nude in that is going to bring me back. So I don't know. Maybe Shane might like some nude Barrett, or some nude Cloud, Sephiroth. I think Shane's more of a Sephiroth guy with the big sword,
Oh my God. Did you see the size of his sword? It's so narrow, though. It's so thin.
What's that? Red 13.
Red 13.
Yeah,
Split the bush.
Maybe a little Vincent. He's dark.
Yeah, he's brooding.
Yep.
He's brooding.
You'll just see Shane always doing the dolphin scene, riding that dolphin while he's nude.
Oh, I'm going to mod it, and there's just going to be wieners.
He's riding a giant dick through the water.
There's no more chocobos. There's chodes. No more chocobos. Just mad
chodobos.
That's what Shane's going to be modding his ass. But like I said, games all been about choice, and I think if developers start reducing that in character creation screens, whatever, it's not going to be. I'm either going to play your game or I'm not. No amount of slider reduction or increase is going to change my mind about that. Now, a good character creator is a nice thing about a game, but at the same time, I don't ultimately think it makes or breaks a game for me. I'm not in it. I don't buy a $60 or $70 game for the character creator. I don't know about you guys, but
I don't either. But I think a good character creator
addition.
It is a very nice addition. And here's the difference between a good character creator and this is what I mean by that mainly. Like, there's really good character creators, right? And then there's character creators that are just downright awful, and it's almost like, why'd you even put a character creator in? That's how bad it is, right? And those I dislike. Now,
I can't tell the difference between like 1 and 5 on the side.
Yes.
If you put in a character creator that's like halfway decent, and it's like, okay, well, you didn't go like crazy with it, but it's still a pretty good character creator, then I'm cool with it, and that's fine. And like I said, I don't really need it, but that's awesome. But if you half-ass your character creator, and it's like, you didn't put any effort into this, like, why even put this in your game? And that stuff just pisses me off, because it's like, why have it if you're not going to put any work into it? Yeah, exactly. 1 through 5 look the same.
The eyes do this.
Right. And we've all, I'm sure, played some games with some really bad character creators.
Yeah. You're like, hey, look at the characters we created. We hop in a multiplayer game, and I'm like, I swear all 3 of these characters are the same, but everybody picked different options. The only way you can tell them apart is the hair.
Yes, I always run
a different color. I always run red hair. And that's how we use them. Oh, there's a redhead. That one's mine. The green hair is Shane.
Yep. No hair. That's next dude.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, those mods get a little out of hand. But you know what? You're absolutely right, though. Don't do it. It's the first damn thing they're going to do. And everything that we have joked about, from the chodobos to the, ding dong dolphins, Aerith riding red when he's wearing a bathing suit covering 9 nipples, and that's all going to be happening just because they were told no.
Nexus mod will have half a dozen pages of nude mods and character skins within the first week. And
you know what, though? I'm okay with that, because there's some characters, and I'm not just saying specifically about any game, but there are some characters that are just ugly. The character models are ugly. Yeah, they didn't do a very good job, and these people come out with these mods and they make them look better. They'll make a gameplay better. So if I have to fight through 12 pages of dolphin dongs to find out mod that makes the gameplay and run better, great, perfect. I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
because
there's no official mod support for it, which I don't care. My biggest thing is don't prevent mods in your game. That's the quickest way to piss off gamers, is to prevent mods in your system. And there are bad mods, and what I mean by bad mods are cheating mods, which anti-cheating software, which really makes it bad for everybody else, right? Because one of the things I can think of is, like, when we were playing the Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, like, there they didn't have native 32.9 support. We had to go get a mod for that. But a lot of the anti-cheat software was picking up mods and saying, "Oh no, you can't run this because you're cheating." And I'm like, "It's not a PvP." I mean, I guess there was there PvP in that one. So, but I'm like, as long as I'm not playing PvP and we're playing the co-op, I just want a 32.9 super ultra wide screen display for the game, and and things like that. So when you prevent mods, especially in a single player or a cooperative game, that's just a stupid move. I can understand preventing mods in Call of Duty, right? Because that's all pretty much PvP. There's a storyline to it, but at the same time, 90% of that game is PvP.
Yeah. And Pat's right. I mean, if you're playing with yourself, giggity, there's no harm in a mod that lets you cheat. But if you're playing with other people, more giggity, then you should not be using that, period. And you should be punished for it. I think if you cheat yourself, you cheat yourself. You're screwing yourself out of an experience and things like that. But when you cheat other people, you're screwing them over out of a lot more. So, but let's go back to the fun stuff before we go. Boobies, because this game's going to get filled with it. This game is going to just basically have one mod that rips all the clothes off of every character in the game. So, I mean, Red X is going to lose all his fur. It's just going to look like that episode of Family Guy when Brian got shaved. That would be awesome.
This rubs all over Peter.
But yeah, I think some developers take it too far. I think some developers they take it too serious. If somebody wants to run around as naked Barrett, naked Tifa, let them. Who cares? It's a single player game. Now, if he's streaming it on YouTube or Nickelodeon, yeah, then you got a problem. But
that's YouTube's problem then.
Exactly.
When they ban his account, that's his problem.
Exactly. I mean, how'd you like your parents to get that text message? Your son was streaming, Barrett's Wild Ride on Final Fantasy VII. So, but it is what it is. Gamers will be gamers, and they're going to do what they want. I think the blur thing being taken out was fine. I like when games do things kind of like that, like Resident Evil 4, when you tried to look at Ashley when she was climbing up a ladder. Oh, you pervert. She'll give you some dialogue and things like that. Those are fun. I'd like to see them do that with more games, and make them
Nier
fun.
did it too. Nier Automata,
Yep.
Whenever you looked under there, she would kick the camera back.
Yep. And those are fun things. Those,
then you get your achievement.
Yes. Yeah. And then you really get your achievement. So those things are fine. There's got to be a balance, though, of, we've had games like Sex Divers, the Helldivers wannabe, Cinemax game coming out. They're doing their little homage. That's too far.
The Skinemax version, I got you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a little more than Skinemax from what I've seen. But, those are too far. For at least a mainstream game. If that's in your cup of tea, go for it. I don't care.
I don't think Sex Divers is going to be a mainstream game, but
no. Well, I mean, I don't think you're going to Blockbuster and getting that one anytime soon. But
if you go into a Blockbuster right now, I need to know where, because I thought they were all gone, aren't they?
No, I think there's like one left, maybe two. One in Canada or something. But yeah, I mean, if that's
just a museum now.
If that's your cup of tea, go for it. No, I'm not going to judge it. I mean, I checked out one of those sex games once because it looked hilarious, and it was freaking grossly hilarious. And even me, the biggest probably perv in this group besides Nick, was a little shy of myself from it. So
I said I played one with the boxing one, which was actually
that's
demo,
right.
and that was actually fun. Besides the fact that but it was actually a fun boxing game.
Yeah, until he tried it in VR and got two black eyes.
He got a bloody nose.
A bloody nose, just like in the anime.
Yeah, just like in the anime.
Yep, and a blown out rectum. So, anyways, if that's your cup of tea, go for it. If you're going to mod the thing to do those, nudities, or just make, bring Tifa down a cup size, because she looks like she wants to fall over in the game. That was my personal thought. And, maybe give Yuffie a little bit of that cup size back, because Nick's right. She's a little 2x4. So, go for it, but don't let, just keep it to a minimum. So you guys got anything else before I blur you guys out? All right. So we made it to the end. You made it to the end. We're now friends. So friends will hit like, friends will hit share, and friends will hit subscribe because that's what friends do. And until next time, we'll see you.